Hey guys, this is Ice again. Doing a review of the Gerber Gator Machete. It's a 18-inch machete blade. I got this one from my brother for Christmas as a Christmas present, but I've seen it sold for I think around $25 to $30, anywhere from like Army Surplus Stores, REI, Dick's Sporting Goods. A lot of places carry this. It's a good machete for the money, I guess. It's got this saw on the back, which is fairly effective. I don't know if you can see it there. It's got staggered teeth. Each one is going a different direction. That's nice to help move the wood out of the way so that the blade isn't going to be stuck on the wood. But it's not an extremely effective saw. I mean, it'll do the job. And one thing you got to make sure of is definitely make sure never to pry with this. Like when you're sawing something, never try to pry out with it, because this is a very thin blade. This is meant to be thin and light for swinging. It's not meant to be strong. So if you try to split wood with this, if you try to baton with this, you're going to have issues and you might break the blade. Make sure not to do that. This particular blade is not a full tang, and normally I would never do that with a fixed blade, but this is acceptable because the main reason of getting a fixed blade, or a full tang on a fixed blade, is because you need the assurance that it won't break when batoning wood. And obviously, if you try to baton wood with this, it'll likely break. So you're not going to be using it for that anyways. Just got these two strong bolts here that I'm very confident in their ability to hold this. I have put this to the test a couple times. It does come very sharp. It works very well. It swings very, very fast. So it does its job well. It's very functional as a machete. If I were them, I would have chosen a different steel. I'm not entirely sure what kind of steel this is, but I can tell it's a fairly brittle steel, which is not good to have in a long, thin blade like this, because it's more likely to break. If I were to just like smash this up against a tree trunk, it would likely break. Whereas if you use the softer steel, it would likely just flex a little, and you'd still be able to use your machete. The sheath is kind of interesting because it has the saw on the back. That makes for a very interesting matter of sheathing the knife, because when pulling in and out, you don't want to be sawing up your sheath. So to address that issue, they put in this cheap little plastic insert there. I don't know if you can see that very well. So the saw runs up against that instead of ripping up the nylon. But I have noticed that you can see, I don't know if you can see that there, teeth marks through the plastic. I mean, it's not 100% reliable, but I think they did a pretty good job. One thing I would have liked in the sheath is if it were a bit more structurally sound. This is a little flimsy, and I would have liked to have maybe some like molly webbing somewhere on it, or some straps to secure it with, maybe some like holes for paracord along the edge, just something to secure it with, because the only thing they have right here is a belt loop, and it's kind of cheap. It's kind of a cheap strap. I can tell if wet it would definitely stretch. I'm really not a huge fan of carrying a machete on your belt. It gets in the way if you're walking. It's just not functional. To secure the machete, it has that same style of strap. Just comes around here, and there's a relatively good quality Velcro. Holds it in place pretty well. The only problem is the vast majority of the Velcro is unused. I don't know why they didn't measure that more accurately, but I don't know if you can see that there. it wraps too far around and it doesn't utilize the majority of its Velcro. So then on the handle of the blade, it has this lanyard, which is very effective, but I've never really seen the point of having a lanyard on your knife. Obviously it is for safety reasons, but I really would think it would be a bit safer not to have a lanyard there, because if you think about it, when you're swinging your machete, if you swing it and for some reason it comes out of your hand, you're going to want that blade to go away from you. You don't want it to be attached to your wrist and swinging around and possibly hitting you or those around you, or, you know, hitting your leg, hitting your arms. I mean, I guess a lanyard would be nice to have if you're in a group, so it doesn't go flying towards someone. But other than that, I really don't think having this thing hanging from your wrist, this sharp blade with a saw in the back, I don't think having that dangling from your wrist would be at all safe or reassuring. So I've never used the lanyard. But if you're a fan of the lanyard, then well, that's just an added bonus for you. So yeah, this is the Gerber Gator 18-inch machete for around $30. This is Ice. Thank you very much for listening.